in order to keep this satisfactory rate at least above 0 in the next 5 years. Okay, so when you heard the introduction, I have been here slightly more often. Usually, actually, I have come here in 2003, invited by the former Ombudsman, Sonny Marcello. And then I usually come here about 3 times or 5 times a year. And every time I come here just for a few days and playing golf and giving talk, scuba diving, etc. But I come here slightly more often between 2005 to 2007 because I was the chief advisor to the EU corruption prevention project. And I came here basically one week in every 2 months. Okay? And one of these activities I launched in this project, which I found very meaningful. Unfortunately, nobody followed that. It's an inter-university debate on corruption issues. I don't know whether this university participated in that debate. At that time, 2004, I think, over 2004, 2005. So get the universities to debate. So it's good to promoting this art of debate. And secondly, is to encourage the university, encourage the university to really start thinking and debating about important national key issues. So something you can consider that you can, with the NSI's assistance, financial assistance, you can sort of let me initiate an inter-university debate on what should the Philippines do now in these 5 years in order to keep this satisfactory rate above 0. It's very, very meaningful indeed. If not, maybe within the university you can do something like that. Okay, so this is an important message I want to tell you. So next one. I have been around and I heard about people, sometimes people really high in the hierarchy, with different statements about fighting corruption. And one of it, for example, is corruption so serious in this country that it will take a decade to eradicate it. True or false? Many people said it's false because it will take at least 2 decades to finish it. But seriously, do you need a long time to do it? Some said yes. Some said yes. No. Some said no. I said no. Because I am qualified to say no. Because I was in Hong Kong when it all started, when corruption was very, very bad, much worse than what you can imagine even in Philippines. In the old days in Hong Kong, where corruption was regarded as from womb to tomb. From the day you buy, you were born and the day you die. You've been paying price all the time. Yeah, it's a way of life. It's so open, organized, syndicated, and everybody just, you can see it on the street all the time. But in Hong Kong, when we set up the ICAC, we can proudly announce that within 3 years, there's no longer open corruption on the street. No longer organized corruption. There's still corruption, but the corruption is very much reduced to a level that's no longer some kind of open, accepted way of life type corruption. So it means that you can really make a substantial change in 3 years if you have the will to do that, have the will and way to do that. So this is my point. So don't say, Filipino is impossible, it will take 2 decades. So let's continue, live as we used to be. If we can identify all the opportunities for corruption and talking more corruption will be eradicated. True or false? Yeah, theoretically true. True? This is something I disagree totally with this report presented by Mr. Westbury. This so-called International Global Integrity Report. The 2 points I disagree. This is one. They said that the procurement procedure is great, and 90 points, and you must be kidding, even though I'm not living here. And then we have already some president, the CSA, that they have evidence to say that when you do procurement, actually you lost 30% of the budget in procurement. And this is actually a typical example. What he says is right because he's probably somebody staying in Washington or Vienna. And when you look at the procurement procedure and the procurement law, they are probably the best in the world. Yeah, perfect. Because the World Bank, whatever, finance it, and it's probably perfect. But why is it so bad? There's lack of enforcement, follow-up, monitoring. Yeah? So this is the key issue. I don't care whether you are MBA, whatever, is system control important. Yes, system control are always important only if you have the backup of enforcement. Okay, so this is the second point I want to mention to you. Okay? We can rely on the Deputy Anti-Corruption Agency to eradicate corruption. Everybody seems to think that, oh, we have the ombudsman. Huh? If we have a corruption, we still have a corruption problem, it's the office of the ombudsman's fault. Huh? It's not my fault, nothing to do with me. I'm not here to fight corruption. Is that right? No. No anti-corruption agency can fight the corruption alone on its own. In ICAC, we cannot say that we cannot claim total credit. Oh, we managed to change Hong Kong from a block place to a clean place. It's all credit goes to the ICAC. We never can say that. The credit goes to all the people, all sectors. So it means that everybody should be involved. If particular sector fails to cooperate, to support, ICAC cannot do the job, and the office of ombudsman cannot do the job. So this is another point. Don't just blame the office of the ombudsman or president or anyone. You blame yourself as well. Okay? And the government should focus on private sector corruption and leave the business sector alone. True or false? Clearly false, because we can't have double standard. Who employ more employees in the Philippines, the government or the private sector? Of course, the private sector. So you can't say that in the government you must not receive kickbacks in procurement, but in the private sector you can receive kickbacks in procurement. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of corruption in the business sector is extremely harmful to the society. You put your life saving into buying an apartment. In fact, it's full of holes, leakage. Why? Because somebody in the process have been receiving kickbacks so that all the substandard material, substandard craftsmanship go into it. Okay? So, next. So, as I said, I'm not boasting, but I say Hong Kong probably is one of the few examples in this world, in modern history, who succeed in turning from a very corrupt place into the clean place. We're not talking about those who sort of traditionally recognized as having a reasonable sort of political system, framework, etc. We're not talking about the states, although they are kind of state corruption in the states. Or other countries. We're talking about those who generally accepted, perceived to be extremely corrupt. How many of them actually succeed in turning from a corrupt state into relatively clean state? Can you name some of them? Can you name some of them? People can only name Singapore and Hong Kong. Try to name the third country is really difficult. Yeah. So I think. So what do you mean by success? So as I said, we succeed in turning all these overt corruptions in. We succeeded in enforcing business sector corruption, which is important. Enabling a level playing field for business. When you do business in Hong Kong, when the overseas investors come to Hong Kong, they know that there's a level playing field. You don't have to go through the back door, whether you private. So that is sort of things which enable a country to attract investment. Clean election, efficient, accountable government. But the main thing is really the job for this country as well is really how to change the public attitude. So public accept corruption as a way of life. So you have to really educate them so that they no longer accept corruption as a way of life. If they no longer accept corruption as a way of life, what does it mean? It means that they will refuse to pay bribe. It means what? They will be willing to report corruption.